So I don't know. I forgot where I left off. Sorry. Um, so there's just been a bunch of things happening where this guy next door feeds all the animals, the cats, the squirrels, the birds, and the raccoons. And I think he does things to them. He drugs them. And so I saw this I saw this raccoon, and I talked with someone, and well, a couple people, and finally came to trying to save the animal, because since there was a distemper outbreak, they would just come out and destroy the raccoon. But I think it was drugged, because the same thing happened to my kitty several times, where he would come home and he would just be lethargic and hide in the closet all day long, and he wouldn't come out of it until like night, when it got to be nighttime, and then he would, he'd be his normal self. Same thing happened with this raccoon. He laid by the side of my house all day long. I mean, he was awake. He was just down, looking like he was sleeping. Didn't move at all. And then every time I would go and check on him, he would look up, and it's just sweet, innocent little cute eyes, just trusting, and so, but then it came to the point after these negotiations, that you can't take the chance that it was, people don't really believe that this man is doing the drugging of the animals and possibly doing things to them inside his cottage or other places around here where this cult is, and even the big house that's next to the cottage on the same property. They could be doing stuff. And there's a warehouse across a garage, a big garage that could be used for that. There's another garage a couple doors down that could be used for that. Stuff that I'm talking about that I don't even want to get into. But so it came to the conclusion that I should probably deal with the wildlife, the animal wildlife guy, to come out and euthanize the animal. And which so I went out last night. It was dark before I was gonna, shortly before I was gonna retire. And so I didn't realize there was, for my doggy to go to the bathroom, and I didn't realize that the raccoon, I knew the raccoon had gotten up and left earlier, like right before dark or at dark. He had gotten up and was walking around and stuff. And but this was the day before, right? I have to go. This was the same day. What I'm talking about with my doggy happened last night, but the day before that was when the raccoon was out of it all day, and then he finally rallied round but then this guy was kind of hanging out with him, because he feeds him, and he's big, very round little raccoon, just well fed, and so he trusts this guy. The raccoon trusts this guy, and so he was just kind of, they were standing around each other, and but then there was a cat. One of the cats, the stray cats, was there too. I think it was a cat. And so I went back inside the house and went to bed and heard this horrific fighting. The cat and the raccoon had gotten into a fight. And so I went out there, and I don't know, I think the raccoon got the worst of it, because it was a sweet little raccoon. I don't think it was just trusting, and I don't think that the raccoon started it. I think it was the cat that attacked him, because I don't know if he may be sick, and then I had heard from one of the people that I was talking with that, if the cat senses that the other animal, that raccoon, is sick or something, that they will attack. So I was so confused. I didn't know whether, maybe the raccoon was behaving strangely like this because he was sick or because he had been drugged. And so, it was I didn't want him to be put down if he was just drugged, and this guy had drugged him. And, poor thing. And so, but so I was confused about it. I didn't know for sure what to do. And then, the next night, I think last night, yeah, or maybe it was the same night. No, it was last night. The raccoon was, and this, I had already set it up that, if I came across him, that the raccoon, then I would call and have somebody come out. And so the raccoon was out there when my dog was out there going to the bathroom, and I didn't know it, and he ran over and they got into a fight. And so since I never got any vaccinations for this dog, which I'm so ashamed of, I don't even know why I did that. I just kept putting it off, and I don't know why I didn't do it, but I didn't. And so he was exposed to the distemper, and so I have to go and get him vaccinated as soon as possible. So, which I'm doing. I'm setting up now. I'm doing that now. I'm so ashamed. It's awful. But he's always with me, and I just never thought that he would get away from me, and I would notice something before, any danger I would notice before it happened, especially if it was in my yard. And this, I've never noticed the raccoon in my yard before. I knew that it was a possibility, but I wasn't aware at that time. I don't know what it was, why that happened either. So anyway, that's what's going on right now. So I'm doing that, and it's so awful. So the guy did come out, but he wasn't able to get him. He went up into a tree and he wasn't able to reach him. So now it's an dragged out, agonizing thing, and then I did see a raccoon this morning, but it's not the same one, because the one that I saw that was drugged had a limp, but looked healthy, fur was good, and eyes were clear, but was just sleepy, and wouldn't move out of the spot, and did have a pronounced limp. But then this other one that I saw the next morning, yesterday morning, was, it had a different face, didn't have, the same one that I saw yesterday morning again, had like matted on the back, and this was before I made any arrangements for the guy to come out. Had mats on his back and like a bent tail, so I thought that's the one that got in the fight with the cat. And so once again, I didn't know whether it was because of the fight or because it has distemper, that it looked, the hair was kind of matted, and he looked disheveled. But he was next door, and by the car next door, and was going to come towards my yard, started coming towards my yard, trusting to me again. And I just went, no, because I had both my cat and my dog outside at that time yesterday morning. And so then he went over by the car, and then he disappeared after that. I had the law enforcement. Well, actually, they didn't come until last night, and they couldn't get him. He couldn't get him. And so he's going to come again today. I guess I'll call him if I see the raccoon again, which I did see a raccoon, but it wasn't the same raccoon this morning. It was a different looking one, didn't have mats, and looked healthy, and it was just, and I think it was a little bit bigger and not, a different shape. It was well fed, but it was a different shape, kind of, more adult looking. And the one I saw that had been drugged, or I don't know, that didn't show to me. I looked up distemper symptoms and outward signs, and it's like running eyes, and what was the other stuff? There were some things, I don't remember now what it was, but he looked healthy, like matted fur and stuff like that. But it can progress pretty rapidly. So the next morning when I saw the matted fur on what I thought was the same one, because that was limping, that one was limping also, then I thought, well, maybe it is distemper, because he's progressed, but it could also be because of the fight with the cat. So anyway, then last night he couldn't come, and so now today, agonizingly, I have to make the decision whether to call him to come out to euthanize an animal that looks different, looks like a different animal, and may have only be eating from the guy's, because he was hanging out there this morning just waiting for something to eat. And this guy had taken up, when he got wind that somebody was coming over to, because I think that they have control of my phone. They kind of listen in, and they're, and electronically they kind of hack into everything that I have. And so this guy knew somehow that I had called law enforcement for wildlife to come out, and he just took up all the food bowls. He had several food bowls out, just took them all inside his house, and there were a couple of bowls of water, but that was it. And so that looks like, nothing to see here, no. And then this morning I noticed that there was one little dish of food, one plate of food, like hard food or something, or some kind of food there. And so the raccoon was there, but wasn't eating anything, so he may have just put it out. So I don't know. This guy's trying to orchestrate a situation, I think. That's what he does. He sets up situations where it looks favorable to him, or that can cover up what he's doing, because, it's against the law, I think, that feeding wild animals and stuff like that. I don't know what the offense is or anything like that, but he's not supposed to be doing that. I feed the squirrels, but he feeds all of them, and he does stuff. He does stuff with those animals. So anyway, and it's part of this group, this cult that does stuff with animals, dogs primarily, I think, but because I still hear the screaming and the hitting with sticks, and but it's very faint, and they want me to hear it too. This guy next door especially wants me to hear these noises, to think that that's what's going on, because it confuses me. It makes me go back and forth, whether this is actually going on or whether this is a gang stalking situation that they are doing to me, to me specifically. And so it's something that I'm figuring out, and I'm just going to hope because I think that mostly people are good, and a lot of people don't want to look at what actually is going on, what actually is happening. They don't want to believe that, like especially this church. They don't want to believe this church is involved. That this church has a very dark side to it that they don't want the general public to find out about. And unfortunately, most people don't want to know. They want to believe that this church is good, and they're helping the homeless, and they're helping they're a charitable organization, and they take in all these broken people and hurt people and help them. And they want to believe that this church is good. So I'm just hoping because I'm hoping that there are people that will start to see, that will actually look at what's happening, what's really happening in this neighborhood, which is so dark and so wrong. So that's where I'm at the moment. Anyway, so thank you for listening.